Hi, everyone, and welcome to Astrology with Jeffrey Bryan. This is part 2 of Will China Invade Taiwan? In the first video, I went over China's chart, and in this video, I will go over Taiwan's chart and then sum it all up in a conclusion at the end. So without further ado, let's dive right in to the Taiwanese chart. Because Taiwan has a very interesting chart. So as we can see here, the inner wheel is their natal chart, and the outer wheel is the transits for March 10th, which passed a few days ago. But like I said, I wanted to show up here where Mars starts off being close to Pluto. So, but before I get into that, I want to say that the ascendant or the life mission, or how the people are perceived, however the people believe that ascendant to be, I like to think of it as the life mission, but we can also say it's how the country likes to be seen, or is seen by the world, is in this state of exaltation. That's the key word for 12 degrees 58 minutes of Aries, is exaltation, which is an elevated state of I amness. They really want to propel forward their ambition and what they're doing, and work hard, and they have the ability to sway others with their work. Now, it was at the time this country was born, Saturn was right on their ascendant. So this, like I say, Saturn is fear or depression or anxiety. So this country may be scared to stand up for itself, and may be relying on another country, if threatened, to come through and help them defend themselves, because they're not people that are really about standing up and fighting, we'll say. Now, this also shows that they would have this diligent work ethic to get things done based on their high ability to take action. So they're willing to go through a lot of hard work to achieve what they want to achieve. And if you see here, this is Aries, their ascendant, and their moon and Saturn here are all in Aries, ruled by Mars. And Mars is in the house of war and international disputes. So that's interesting that we're talking nowadays about, is China going to come and try to take over Taiwan? Now, they may not want to totally take over and dominate. They may just want to take over all their assets and resources, which to me is really taking over the country. I don't know if they would make them become part of communist China or not, or just, force them to pay them for protection against outside influence or something like that. But I think that the Chinese are going to come and try to take over, and Taiwan will be looking towards other countries such as the United States for protection, which could involve starting off World War III. Now, I'm aware a lot of people think we're watching a movie and this is fake, and it's like we're in the metaverse, and all the information is coming just through the TV and social media, and this stuff isn't real. But the astrology really shows that this is real, and this really is happening. So I just want to make sure people understand that a lot of the facts are propagandized and fake that are going on, because we're not getting the information from the high level. But what's going on is not to me, it's not a movie, because I'm watching this happen on these astrology charts. It's happening in real time, right in front of us. And so we need to take what's going on seriously. All the countries around the world need to pay attention, because this signs of this with Uranus worldwide, the transiting Uranus being in Taurus, we had a world war last time. And Saturn in Aquarius can mean, it'll be moving into repression. So we could be looking at another form of a Great Depression. This is very serious stuff. That's why I'm bringing these charts out to the world so people can understand this stuff is really serious. We need to be prepared. We need to know who to support and who not to support. And if what we're getting into is, for the betterment of the world or creating a worse world, and who's creating all of this drama to bring this war to a head, and how's it going to end? We're just getting to it getting kicked off. We haven't even begun to look at the details inside of what's going to be happening for the future. So we have Mars in the house of war coming off the ascendant Saturn and the feelings of the country, the feelings of the people. So this is ruled by Venus. Venus is about attraction, repulsion, love, and it's in Leo in the entertainment and stock market, schools and colleges, and that's ruled by the sun. And the sun is here in the third house of transportation, media, neighboring countries. So this is really where the country shines. So, or their spirit is in, helping, it's in neighboring countries. So we want to see if there's going to be an attack on their sun, or if their sun is going to be attacking, or is doing what's going on to this third house, or if something's going to be going on at war against the people. Okay, so this is big stuff, and this is ruled by the moon, which comes back to the people. So we go back and forth around this whole big triangle here. So they have Neptune in Scorpio, and they're in the house of debt and the death rate. So there could be a lot of confusion of how to use their energy. It's in the third or spiritual decanate, which is in the subrulership of Cancer moon. So they have this really emotional connection with what's going on with their money and how their countries run. They hope their countries run more from this state of unity consciousness, but are they using their innate animal force wisely, or is it being used in this disillusioned way? What's going on with that? So that's a lot to do with their natal chart. So then let's move on to the transits. We have Pluto in the house of the president and worldly business affairs, and he was conjunct Mars a few days to a week before this chart was made, which I thought was one of the most, it felt like this buildup in the collective of this hostility and anger. So that's why I wanted this to start off with that. So we see that the president already has this understanding of maybe this secret attack is coming, or he's part of this, what's going on. He's connected to what's going to happen secretly with their country. I don't know if he's or maybe it's a she. I can't remember. I think Taiwan might have a woman president. I don't recall. But is this person going to stand up and fight for their country? We'll have to wait and see. But this person knows there's something going on that's secretive in the house of the president and worldly business affairs that most people or the world isn't quite yet aware of. So let's see, let's move on to the next chart. Mars moves over to Saturn in the house of legislature ambassadors. This is the social house of your friends, groups, and people. So this is like other leaders of other nations and countries. And so we have Saturn in the keyword of repression. And we say, like I've said before, Saturn is fear, anxiety, depression, and is repression. So is this going to be a repression on the people and their communication, on what they can do and say, how they can move? What is this really meaning for them? This forms, my mouse would work. This forms an in conjunction to their natal Mars, or excuse me, their natal Mercury in the 4th house of land, homes, building, and crops. So, there could be something going on with their ability to produce food, or mine, or people traveling there. There's something coming on April 5th, which is coming up very shortly, but it's going to be a crisis to, this is the everyday thinking of what's going on in this world for lands, homes, minings, crops, and stuff. And it's ruled by the moon, and that's the feelings of the people. And like I said before, it comes back to the Mars that squares this house of Mercury. So there's going to be this conflict, because this crisis is going to happen, and it invokes this triangle. See this opposition to square. So it's gonna start this big thing with the land, and it's going to come from worldly pressures and legislatures and ambassadors. And then we have the conjunction of, around this time, we're going to have, well, actually, it's the next chart up. I'll move it. It's Jupiter and Neptune will be conjunct in this 12th house. So like I said before, Neptune is this very weird, high vibrational planet that's not very well understood. It's very confusing and illusory, because it represents this high vibrational frequency, this actual spirit, the spiritual world. And when people don't understand, and they get kind of freaked out about the world, or in this fearful state, they go into isolation. And this is the house of prison, or monasteries, nunneries. It's also the house of hospitals. And in the government chart, we look at it as prisons, crimes, and secret societies, and secret enemies of the people. So, and Jupiter is expanding this confusion, illusion, and disillusionment. So I'm saying that there's many people, many groups. See, we have this attack here from this house of social groups and legislatures, ambassadors on the land and crops and mining. So all of this happening is really about land and money and resources, and people trying to steal the money. And so they have a lot of secret enemies, I believe, here. This is at home, and it's home sign, so it stays here. But as we know, this is attacking this, and it's also in opposition to the feelings and the moods of the people, So then Mars will come in and conjunct this. So this is where I think things are going to start to heat up. Really, May 17th, we have this conjunction of Mars conjuncting Neptune. And we have Jupiter moving into 1 degree here. So at 24 degrees, we have the secret enemies of the people trining Mercury and trining Neptune, the natal Neptune. So we have a water grand trine forming in this house of action. And this is, debt due to foreign countries. So there's the debt due to foreign countries, but it's also going to the house of the secret enemies of the people. So, and it's going to the land. So are these people coming after the land because of some debt that has been confused, or there's some like legality that people aren't understanding, and so they're coming after them because each one believes they're right. I don't know, but there's some confusion. This house is ruled by, this Neptune is ruled by Pluto. And Pluto in their natal chart is in the house of military and police. And this opposes the 12th house. So this is the house of, this is usually the house of health and work and service. And this would be the house of also of, this is also the house of hospitals and healthcare, but this would be the house of spiritual healthcare, like different kinds of healthcare. Like over there, they do like Qigong, Tai Chi, and acupuncture and things of that nature. So are they going to also be moving on to different kinds of healthcare to help the people because they've grown with distrust over their government, or over the big groups of people that control the medicine over there? A lot of this could be due to that. I forgot, I wanted to read out of this book, this Pluto Neptune conjunction for you guys, because this is a big deal for the Taiwanian people. So in Robert Peltier's book, Planets in Aspect, he says of this of the Pluto-Uranus conjunction, he says that this shows that if necessary, you will go to extremes to preserve your freedom. Being free means many things to you. It means freedom from pollution, disease, unemployment, and economic control by the industrial establishment. You want the right to do your thing, especially the right to make some important contribution to mankind along with others who are similarly motivated. You support local and national programs to improve the quality of life and may even become actively involved in seeing that this work is carried out. You realize that hard work by everyone concerned is the only way to reverse the continual plunder of natural resources, which leaves only a blighted landscape. You have a deep respect for all living things, including people, animals, and plants. When you observe how the earth is so freely desecrated by private interests, with little regard for those who will inherit it, you feel the need to dedicate yourself to preserving these elements. And here we see these planets in Virgo, which is an earth sign, and it's actually, a scientific area of Virgo Mercury, where they really care about the environment and science, environmental sciences. So that's interesting. So it also has to do with he talks here about doing hard drugs and stuff of that nature. And a lot of this opposes Mars and Neptune. So this could be a lot of people using drugs during this time, as well. So this water thing, this water grand trine is a positive for these people. But how is it going to be positive if someone doesn't step up and help them defend themselves? Because as we'll see here, they have, let me see, it's not yet. Let me move to the next chart. So Mars will conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter's at 3 degrees. Which, forms an in conjunction to the past in this foreign nation. So there's this big thing with the enemies of the people, with something to do with their past, something in the past, and this is ruled by Scorpio. So Scorpio here is having to do with, what I just read out of that book, but we have technology and secret technology. So, and it's in health, food, and military. So there's something big going on with that. And like I said, it opposes Neptune. So there's, Neptune's there's going to be some confusing elements going on with what's going on with the people. Let's see. We've got the south node, the transiting south node coming into a conjunction to this natal Neptune. So let's see. Which is, going to reinforce this grand trine that we've got going on. But we also have an opposition. Well, there's an opposition between that if we give it 7 degrees, which is a little much for transcendent planets. So I'm not going to go there. We have let's see. Let's move to the next chart, because this is the big thing. This conjunction where we have Mars, the north node, and Uranus again in Taurus, and the keyword of struggle. So we know that there's this battle going on with Uranus wanting to break free and do stuff in this fixed Earth sign of Taurus, but it's having trouble breaking free and liberating itself the way it wants to. And in the sky, it's been being squared. In the sky, it's been being squared for a long time, where we're seeing all these restrictions. But in their chart, in the natal chart of Taiwan, this is opposing this house of the 8th house of debts due to foreign countries and the death rates, heads of states and mayors and governors. So what's going on with the personal banking and the money and these groups and the debt? So like I said, all of these things happening are dealing with money. There's something going on with money and these secret societies. And here we also have a trine. We have Uranus and Mars in the north node trining this natal Pluto-Uranus. So we have this harmonious aspect from this house of personal banking, treasury, money, and this planet of rebellion and this planet of, Pluto is the planet of transmutation, or, it's like the planet of alchemy or quantum change. It wants to change the structure of whatever it's in to make it wants to tear it down to build it anew. And we've got Uranus, the planet of enlightened thinking and rebellion in this earth sign. And it's in harmony with this. So this would be maybe the military and police standing up and protecting or doing something towards the banking industry. We have the transiting Pluto up here at 27 degrees, but it's out of aspect, I would say. I mean, it's within 7 degrees of this natal Uranus. So, if you wanted to give it a 7-degree orb, you could say that that's also trining from the president and business affairs. I usually only give a 6-degree orb. I'm more of a tighter orb person when it comes to those planets because they're so slow moving. But this is very interesting what's going to happen with that. And then let's see. I thought there was a bigger thing going on here when I looked earlier. Saturn's at 22 degrees. So we have Saturn forming, let's see, a square to the second house. So the legislature and ambassadors, I'm looking at this as, of other countries as well as their own country. So Saturn's squaring form, it's a few degrees past, but I count it even if it's 4 degrees past, squaring the house of money and banking and forming an in conjunction, which is this crisis in action. And that that needs to be dealt with. So there needs to be some positive attributes to help heal the situation. And we have the positive attributes with the Grand Water Trine, with this earth, but it's coming from this house of the secret enemies of the people. So I don't know how well that's going to pan out for the Taiwanese, and this Grand Trine, though, is dealing with their natal Mercury, which rules the house of foreign or neighboring countries. So we would really be looking to see what would be happening with this natal Mercury, because it rules this third house. And so, 18 degrees to 21 degrees, this is a harmonious aspect to this Mercury. And we have another harmonious aspect from Pluto and Uranus here in harmony with this Mercury. So I don't see how China is going to take. When I first thought this, I thought China was just going to come in and dominate. But it seems to me like something's going to happen, that people are going to have to come to Taiwan's rescue. Let me see. So that's the end. So if you look at those charts, it really looks like this is all about money, land, property, and minerals, and who controls the entire industry. And this is, probably most likely globalist enterprises that want to take control of this. So this is where I think that this all gets very interesting, is, a lot of the people that want to have global control have business interests in China, but they use the industry of Taiwan to produce a lot of the technological gadgets that we use in computers and all of our electronics and cell phones and appliances, and also with, vehicle tires and things of that nature. So do they want to allow this country that's more free to be taken over by China? I don't think that the people that are in charge of these companies want to allow China to take hold of that. And I think that's why China is going in to try to take over the global corporations and have this power over them, this global control over these companies. So if they hold all the assets and resources, they can control the globalists, and the globalists want to control everyone else. So there's this battle going on between in this regard. So the interesting thing is, who's going to have more power at the end of this? Well, to me, it looks like China also doesn't have the resources, and also as well as, financially, it looks like China is going to be suffering monetarily. There's something going on with money in their chart where they're not prospering like a lot of people think they are. So I think that their stock market is probably suffering, and their financials are going down the tubes. And so I think that they're going to lose out in taking over Taiwan. Somehow someone's going to come in and stop this. So we'll have to wait and see who that is. If it's America, I think if America steps in to this fight, especially under the, who we have as in charge in our country right now, we're going to find out some major revelations about the election and lots of other things simultaneously with regard to the military and with regard to who they look to at the highest levels as acting in command of our country. Because the way it looks right now, who's leading the country right now is not doing things in the benefit of anyone, let alone national interest, let alone our country. So things are starting to decay and fall apart, just like Jeffrey Wolf Green said of the United States about the Pluto return for America. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to allow America to go into total and utter poverty because of this transition. It just means that we're going to maybe be more on equal footing with the world. So there's something that Pluto needs to regenerate and evolve into, that by evolutionary necessity, that we don't just dominate, but there's this more world harmonious aspect in regards to resources and money, and maybe each country separately having their own independence instead of always relying on other countries. Because right now we're seeing being reliant on other countries for different things is very dangerous and very scary. If a country can restrict us from oil, or, you know, another big thing with Russia is they produce something like 85% of the world's fertilizer. And if they cut everyone off from oil and fertilizer, and countries like the United States aren't producing that for themselves because the government isn't allowing enough to be done, then we can't grow food. You know, then we have a problem where we talked about the Great Depression, where there's like starvation involved. So I don't think it's going to get to this level. I think something's going to happen, but I do believe it's going to culminate to this point where something almost like miraculous has to happen that dissolves or stops this. It's almost like the buildup of the Cuban Missile Crisis, where the JFK had to deal with when he was president. There was very scary times. I think that we're building up to a point that's going to be a very scary time that will get somehow diffused, but there may be a lot of attacks and things that happen, and that, you know, and maybe even people do die, like we're seeing over there in Ukraine right now. And maybe that does happen in Taiwan. Maybe that does happen if the US engages, because these transcendent planets are not moving into other signs for the next few years. So we're going to have these things to contend with for a while now. It's just Mars is setting this off. So the thing that makes me a little bit also nervous is Mars is going to be in Gemini for a long time, and that's in air. Mars in air, in an air sign, it really builds its fire and passion and heat, and we're going to be dealing with this through the next summer and winter. So I do think that for sure, in my opinion, there is going to be something set off between China and Taiwan, for the record, and I think that it's going to come to other countries having to step in, and it may look like another big World War III problem. And this is real. This isn't just what we see on the TV or, you know, through the internet. This is a real thing occurring. And it looks like it's this movie because the people look so, I mean, sometimes it's even, this is the Neptune confusion illusion. You can't believe what's coming out of people's mouths. You watch a politician and you're like, I can't believe they even said that on national TV. This is so ridiculous and stupid. You know, our own president of the United States the other day actually said that Putin was going to war with Russia. That can't even happen. He is Russia. So, I mean, what's coming out of these people's mouths, you know, is crazy. It's crazy. So you think, are they even competent enough for this? So it does look like a movie, but there's people that can do all this that aren't on the level of the media that are really in charge. That gives me hope that there are good people that are going to diffuse all these situations. And so it does look like a movie, but this is actually really happening in reality. But I do think that there will be a diffusion. So I think I've said enough. I feel like I've been being too redundant. I hope I haven't been. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.